Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people with diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage. The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe. And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric of our amazing city. So this Africa Day, let us take a moment to celebrate the achievements of the people of Africa, the progress made by African nations, and the traditions and culture they have shared with us. And let us also show them that we will embrace and support them as they continue to overcome and face their challenges head on. Thank you, and happy Africa Day, everyone.
Why wouldn't I speak to Black Chicago? Why wouldn't I? Black Chicago and Black people in America have borne the brunt of the type of policies and the maneuvering and the humiliating tactics that are coming from the federal government right now. It's not a secret. Who is going to be mad at the fact that we have to prioritize spaces in the city that have been harmed the most?
Real Chicagoans woke up this morning relieved that the Department of Justice is finally investigating your race hustle. As someone who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I've heard a lot of race hustlers in my life, trust me, but they were usually marching around outside of City Hall, which is what makes this so embarrassing and dangerous. Very, very dangerous to the city of Chicago.
Okay, we need the question.
I'm more than happy to ask this question. It's long overdue. For over a year, real Chicagoans, white and black, have been telling me that your black power rhetoric is bringing the city backwards from a place that
we need the question.
Had overcome. You want the question?
Please.
Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist?
Well, first of all, I reject the idea and the premise that somehow that's an actual legitimate question.
You want that?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about woke Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is slowly but surely losing his mind. And this is not an exaggeration, okay? President Trump is driving this man insane, okay, for multiple reasons, due to the fact that Chicago is facing pressure from the federal government, who basically has moved to withhold funds from Chicago due to their sanctuary city status, and because of the allegations that Brandon Johnson is racially discriminating when it comes to hiring, okay? And Brandon Johnson is not handling this well, okay? Like, for example, about a month ago, he essentially declared President Trump a terrorist for withholding funds from Chicago over their sanctuary city status. Take a look.
What are your thoughts on having a meeting with the Trump administration to try and, for lack of a better phrase, kiss the ring to be able to stop the federal funds from being held back from the city of Chicago?
Well, I will just say, outside of a 2016, Cubs World Series ring, I'm not kissing a ring, okay? The President of the United States of America has an open invitation to the 5th floor of the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. And I'm going to just be bold here for a second. There's a long history of black political leaders talking to people who may not see us as first class, trying to force your will to break the spirit of working people in order to have a conversation. That's terrorism. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists. We're going to negotiate on behalf of working people in this city. And that's what American people want us to do. There's a reason why he's losing support. Now, he doesn't care. This president refuses to see our humanity. And his response to this economy is to give tax breaks and benefits to the ultra-rich while the rest of us are struggling. You got to show up for working people in this city, in this country, and not for the oligarchs and the ultra-rich. That's what has destroyed our economy, is that we have the ultra-rich who continue to receive tax breaks while the rest of us have to pay for their failures.
You're talking about terrorism. You're not calling the president a terrorist?
No, what I'm saying is trying to hold people hostage and manipulating them to succumb to his will and then hold up our tax dollars, that is how terrorists behave.
Yeah, so woke Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says that President Trump is a terrorist, right? A terrorist. Okay, he said, well, I'm not calling him a terrorist, but he's engaged in terrorist tactics. Yo, you are calling him a terrorist, right? Go own up to it, right? Just say it with your chest, okay? You're calling him a terrorist, okay? Not only is President Trump a terrorist, according to the woke mayor, President Trump also apparently is a monster. And he's accusing President Trump of keeping food out of the mouths of the people of Chicago. Take a look.
You know, as far as, you know, the president's animus towards women, people of color, working people, we have always known who he has been. And this is not a surprise. He's a monster. Period. We have the most diverse administration in the history of Chicago. And he is threatened by that. You can tell when someone is fearful is because they act out. We have a president that is screaming and having tantrums right now because we have an administration that reflects the city of Chicago, but he would much rather have administrations that reflect the country club. It is clear that the president is, his behavior is inimical to the interest of working people. And you know, I've hosted the U.S. Conference of Mayors just a month or so ago, along with police chiefs and superintendents. They're feeling the impact of the Trump's administration's tactics. And, you know, whether it's cutting off food or, you know, taking away access to medicine, you mentioned FEMA. I mean, Trump's administration is mad at the weather. I mean, I do believe, though, that there is a rising resistance to the failures of this administration. You know, but what I can say emphatically is that as a city, we're going to continue to stand up and fight for working people.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, okay? The woke mayor has a very, very, very severe case of Trump derangement, right? All of the problems that the city of Chicago is currently experiencing, he's basically blaming it on Trump, right? He's blaming it on Trump. Trump is a terrorist. He's a monster. He's preventing people from getting medicines and food, right? I mean, he's basically blaming everything on Trump, right? I mean, that is essentially what the mayor is doing, even though his approval rating allegedly is in the single digits. But it's Trump's fault, right? It's Trump's fault. So he was confronted by the best reporter in Chicago, William J. Kelly, about the fact that he continues to blame everything on President Trump instead of taking some responsibility for the mess that he has gotten himself into.
Mayor Johnson, ever since the Department of Justice has opened their civil rights, racial discrimination investigation into you and your administration, you've done nothing but attack the Department of Justice and Donald Trump by name, including
We need the question, otherwise we're going to have to keep going.
Harmeed Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General, who in a recent interview said that your racial
we're keep
discrimination is an open and shut case.
Yeah.
So in light of that, a lot of people are wondering what kind of legal advice, in light of the fact that you and your administration could be responsible for millions upon millions of dollars in lawsuits. What kind of legal advice are you getting? Are your
okay? Thanks for the question.
So here's what's important here, that the conversation around what does it mean to have an administration that reflects the values of the people of the city of Chicago, and whether or not that approach is something that the administration subscribes to. Clearly they don't. You know, we have the most competent, talented, loving, diverse administration. 64% of the administration is made up of women, and that there's value there. And, it certainly is different than, the Trump's administration, right? Where you have pro wrestlers and individuals who, quite frankly, should address their addiction to controlled substances. And as someone who is running a department that knows nothing about Department of Human Services, right? There's a degree of frustration that the American people are experiencing simply because, the Trump administration, again, is more interested in the country club than the country. My administration speaks to the values of the people of this city and around the country. And as we continue to drive violence down in the city of Chicago, and as our investments continue to go up, it is proof positive that my administration not only reflects the values and the diversity and the competency of our city, but there are actual positive results that we can speak to.
Last week I asked you about the racist rhetoric that you have used on the campaign trail and the racist policies, hiring policies that the city is currently being investigated for. You said you didn't answer the question, including a question about Robert Gomez, a river walk.
Keep moving, sir.
A lot of Chicagoans have said that they want this question answered.
That's fine. Just ask the question.
And you interrupting a question that real Chicagoans want to have answered is.
Mr. Kelly,
very disrespectful.
Are you okay, sir? Just ask the question.
I'm being interrupted. I'm being interrupted by one of your.
Let me just say this
staffers.
one more time. If you don't ask the question, we're going to move on to the next person. Ask the question. Go for it.
A lot of Chicagoans, actually hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Chicagoans, have commented on my last video, want to know about, for example, the case of Robert Gomez, the River Walk restaurateur, who had his license yanked without any explanation, costing the city, by the way, $800,000. If you could go back to last week when I asked you this question, and before this DOJ and others are now investigating
you gotta
this,
ask your question,
would
sir,
you answer the question?
What is the question?
The people of Chicago want to know why you are engaging in racist rhetoric and hiring practices.
Yeah, thank you for that question, and I fundamentally oppose and reject the premise of your question.
Thank you. We'll go to Tara now.
Thanks.
Oh man, I love William J. Kelly. Yes, I know that he is asking very long-winded questions, right? But the reason why I love it is because that's essentially what they do to President Trump and the Republicans, right? I mean, he's only doing to the Democrats what the liberal journalists do to Republicans, right? This is what they do. They load up questions with a bunch of negative stuff, and then they ask the question. And, hey, if that's how the liberal media wants to play the game, then it is what it is, right? I mean, William Kelly is just giving Brandon Johnson a taste of their own medicine, right? In regards to what the liberal media does to President Trump and the Democrats, right? They do it all the time, right? So, hey, that's why I don't mind it. That's why I find it to be hilarious because, again, this is the same tactic that is used by the liberal media to smear Republicans and President Trump, right? So, with that being said, I want to react to another press conference here, the most recent press conference, in which William J. Kelly is going to confront Brandon Johnson on if he is okay, right? His mental health, because it seems as if Brandon Johnson is struggling with his mental health, dealing with the Trump administration. The guy's losing his mind. He's lashing out, calling Trump a terrorist and a monster. He just doesn't seem to be in a good headspace, right? So we got to do a mental wellness check on the woke mayor.
Mayor Johnson.
How many people did you talk to this week? Because like millions last week. Millions, though, right?
Hundreds of thousands, if not.
Okay, so it went down this week.
Questions, comments, likes and shares every time.
Okay.
Guaranteed. It's a gold mine. Here's the question that they want to know the answer to.
Thousands of people.
The Department of Justice investigation into your racist hiring practices can very likely result in millions of dollars in damages, and that you and your administration will be personally liable for. Yet your legal response to the Department of Justice is to attack them. It's unhinged. Legal experts that I have talked to say that it's unhinged.
Okay. We're going to get to the question now.
And regular
Otherwise,
Chicagoans.
we're going to keep moving, sir.
Regular Chicagoans are saying to me that they're concerned about you. That they,
All right,
there's
we need the
widespread,
question now. We need the question
there
right
are
now.
widespread rumors of your panic attacks. That,
All right, we're gonna keep moving.
And they're concerned.
Here, Charlie.
They're concerned about your mental health, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, the people of Chicago want to know: are you okay?
I asked that same question about you last week, if you're okay, because it's not clear to me that you are, and I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to get the help that you need. I do. Seek it. Seek
Do you
it.
think I'm the one that's
Let's
running
move
Chicago?
on to the
Yeah,
next.
we'll
Mayor
go to
Johnson,
Charlie.
I have a follow-up question about the people of Chicago.
We're going to keep moving.
Over
Thank
the
you, though.
weekend, seven children were shot.
Yeah, he addressed
That's a
that.
mass shooting,
He addressed
Mr.
that,
Mayor.
sir. Yep.
Yet you and Stacy, your wife, have over 150 sworn police officers protecting you. Why is your life and Stacy's life more important than the children of Chicago, Mr. Mayor?
I want you to get the help that you need, sir. Next.
Good morning.
Oh man, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh man, wow. Again, shout out to William J. Kelly, bro. This dude is the ultimate troll. I am surprised. I'm surprised that Brandon Johnson hasn't kicked this dude out yet, right? Lori Lightfoot banned this guy, right? Lightfoot, I think she revoked his press credentials, actually. So, I'm surprised that Brandon Johnson hasn't gone that far yet. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden he can't ask questions anymore. Okay. But hey, I don't think his questions are out of bounds. I just think that they don't like the fact that he puts a lot of negative context on the question before he asks the question. But hey, like I said, this is a tactic that the liberal media uses against Republicans and against Trump. So hey, it is what it is. All I know is that Brandon Johnson is not okay, right? He's not mentally well, right? He's losing his mind. Okay. He's having panic attacks. His approval rating is in the tank. He's not running the city well. If an election was held today, I think that he would probably get wiped out. And he knows it. He knows that his administration is a complete and total disaster. It is a failure. He's facing multiple lawsuits. Okay. His racist hiring practices have been exposed. The dude is probably the worst mayor in Chicago history. Okay. So I can see why he's upset. I can see why he's frustrated. But I'm here to tell the woke mayor that the problems in the city of Chicago have nothing to do with Trump. It was a disaster before Trump. It's a disaster now that Trump is in office. It's on you, Mr. Mayor, right? It's your fault. Take some responsibility and accountability for what is happening to your city, for the fact that you're bankrupting your city by funding the illegals, okay? It's wasting all these taxpayer dollars on your woke socialist initiatives, right? You are the problem, okay? When you blame everybody else, you're showing that you are not taking accountability and responsibility for what happens in your city. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.